Welcome everybody to the Mayor's Show, and today, it's always, but maybe today extra special guest we have on the show today is Dr. Robert Rosenwasser, who is professor and chair of the Department of Neurological Surgery. And I think I said that correct, Doctor. Welcome aboard for another show. We had you on before, very successful, a lot of great information, and a great job Jefferson is doing partnership with Bensalem Township. And we're very proud of that, especially with the stroke ambulance that we have. So, Doctor, I'll give you the opening here and give us what's going on. And I know the pandemic has been problems for all of us. So, Doctor, you're on.
Well, I just want to say a few words about the pandemic. First of all, my hat's off to really the public for heeding the call and really taking care and isolating and social distancing, which gave us the opportunity to really get our hands around this. That helped out a lot. So my gratitude to the public, my enormous gratitude to the first responders, the people that were really out in the field helping bring these patients in, and really to everyone who's affiliated, the policemen, the firemen, all the first responders. We would have not done as well through this had it not been for those folks. So I just wanted to say,
just to interrupt you just for a second, that we are doing the things we're supposed to do, and this is a virtual meeting that we're having today. So, and that's the reason we don't have masks on. So I just want the public to know.
Oh no, I understand that. I wish we were all together.
Yeah.
And that'll come again. That will come again.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
These meetings are great, but it's nothing like having that personal interaction.
You got that right. You got that right. Well, what I want to say is that, we had the idea. It's the anniversary. We passed the first anniversary of this. August 5th, I believe, was the date. I got a nice message from Chief Topley. And, we had the idea of doing this, of really delivering stroke care to the patient, not having the patient have to come to the emergency room or the hospital to get this done. And we had the operational plan. But I will tell you, if it weren't for you, Mr. Mayor, and for you, Chief Topley, and your crew, this would not have happened. When we looked around the country, people are calling us and saying, how is it that this has worked so well in Bensalem Township and Bucks County? And I said, because we partnered. I know how to take care of a stroke. I'm not a first responder. I don't know the logistics and all that's involved in the thing that the chief does and his crew. And so clearly it was their expertise. It was a marriage made in heaven. And people ask me, what was the secret sauce to the success of Jefferson's MSU program? The secret sauce is partnering with the Bensalem EMS. That's the secret sauce. And clearly that's what we've done different than every other unit in the United States. No one's nearly as successful as we have. We've served over the last year 215,000 residents, as you know, and 1 million visitors to the communities in Bucks County, southeastern Bucks County. In the first year, the mobile stroke unit responded to 286 emergency calls, 139 of those patients exhibiting the signs and symptoms of a stroke, as identified by the chief and his crew. And they provided emergency CT scans on site. And then the Bensalem EMS, we have telemedicine actually in the ambulance. So I'm able to see the patient very similar to like we're talking to each other today. Virtually identical to how we're talking to each other today. And we gave clot-busting drugs to 16 patients, averaging a total time from diagnosis to treatment of 29 minutes. Wow. 29 minutes.
And that's crucial.
It's phenomenal because the American Heart Guidelines are saying, if you can do it in 60 to 45 minutes, you're doing great, right? But many people fall out of the window because the time it takes to pick up the patient and transport him to the hospital. So there's no doubt that this really is establishing a new standard of care. And again, I would tell you that thank you, Mr. Mayor, for supporting this, and thank you, Chief Topley and your crew, because it would not have happened. The two of you I'm looking at, you're the secret sauce to the success of this program, and we want to thank you. And most importantly, the patients thank you.
Well, again, it's a partnership. I always believe in teams. I'm a team player, and I believe in. And Doctor, this is going out to every home. We had talked about it before, this magnet that you were so gracious, Jefferson, to print up for us. We're sending it to every home this
Great.
coming week. So they should get that. Again, the pandemic has slowed things down and has everybody kind of at a standstill. But this magnet tells it all for people to look at it and keep it in mind that if they have any of these symptoms, immediately call our rescue squad. And I'd like to just to switch to Tom for a second, Doctor. And Tom, give us a little bit of an update of how you're responding to these calls and how important they are.
Well, you know, it starts with the community, and those magnets are key, because when you call 911, your call's forwarded to Bucks County Central Dispatching Site in Ivy Land, Pennsylvania, and the dispatcher searches for keywords. So if you call, recognizing those symptoms, and tell them, they'll dispatch the call as a possible stroke. And when that happens, they actually dispatch 2 ambulances. Jefferson gave us the opportunity to house this stroke truck, and we've offered it to other communities. So we're helping service, you know, many of the municipalities around us. We're actually covering 83 square miles with the stroke truck. And so if the dispatcher determines a possible stroke, the closest ambulance available goes to your house. We try to get an ambulance there right away. And then the mobile stroke unit, the MSU, will come. And we've worked with the local first responders to identify signs and symptoms of stroke, do a couple of simple tests before we get there. And usually when the MSU crew gets there, the patient's completely assessed and ready to go in the stroke truck. And what that did is, Dr. Rosenwasser talked about our time to give the TPA, the clot-busting life-saving drug, in 29 minutes. But before we do that, the person needs a CAT scan to make sure they're not bleeding anywhere in their head. And because of the 911 system, the community's awareness, our local EMS partners, our curb from the moment we get to your house to the second we start the CAT scan machine is under 10 minutes. And to me, that is truly amazing. I'll let Dr. Rosenwasser talk about it some more, but I'm pretty sure if I was standing in a CAT scan room and had symptoms, it would be more than 10 minutes for them to get me on the table and get a CAT scan done.
Well, Doctor, that is the partnership there, and certainly I know you give us some credit for being part of a team and everything, but certainly Jefferson has taken the lead on this and given us the opportunity to give this to our community. And covering, I think he said 84 square miles. I think that's what you said, Tom. That gives us outreach, not just Bensalem, to save lives. So, Doctor, give us an update. Are they doing this anywhere else? Is it picking up some steam?
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is that, like I said, I think people are having trouble getting this going, because I think what we demonstrated is that this will not work as well as it has worked without partnering with the local communities, the government, and the local EMS and first responders. And other sites have tried to do it on their own. You know, they would have their own nurses who travel with the ambulance, but it doesn't work that way. It's just like the chief said, they call a central dispatch number. They don't call Jefferson, or they don't call Penn, or they don't call Temple, all of which are very good institutions. And so really, it really needs to integrate more. You're the model. Bensalem is the model for how to do this. And when I look, again, when I talk to my colleagues around the country who call me, how are you guys doing it? Because as the chief knows, and you too as well, Mr. Mayor, we published this in our scientific literature. We just had another paper accepted yesterday or day before on how the MSU is changing acute management of stroke care. It's becoming a new standard of care. And I think we're going to need a whole army of these ambulances, not just one. We're going to need,
I agree.
We're going to need a whole army of them. And so, like I said, I think the success has clearly been, you know, we know how to take care of the stroke. Chief Topley and his crew know exactly the logistics of how to get there to the patient's house, what needs to be done. You know, Chief said that the CT scan's done in less than 10 minutes. We were on a call, I think, a week or so ago. They had one in like 6 minutes. 6 minutes from the time. I mean, I can't put on my shoes in 6 minutes. I mean, it was like 6 minutes from the time the scan truck pulled up in front of the house to when the patient was getting a scan. It's remarkable. It's
My
in short,
goodness.
remarkable.
That is remarkable, and saving lives. My
Yep.
goodness gracious.
Yep.
And you know, we talk about as a very lay person talking to a professor and doctor here. To me, we wouldn't know a lot of times when we have these symptoms and things go on, and the awareness that's being put out there, and the opportunity to live up to that awareness. It's just incredible. Because I would have, you know, you get older, you have these little symptoms, and you don't take care of them. Then all of a sudden, you don't die from it, but you're paralyzed. And you know, that's another part of this, of getting
Right.
symptoms early. I guess I'm right on that. Do you want to?
You're absolutely right on that, and thank you. You're right. So much of it is public education, which we depend on the local communities to really, you know, we want to participate in that, but that's a mission of the local communities. You know, 35 years ago, everybody didn't know what the signs of a heart attack were, right? Nobody knew arm
Right.
pain, chest pain, jaw pain, things like that. And through the efforts of public education, almost everyone knows the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. And so we're really on that same journey, if you will, to educate the public about the signs and symptoms for stroke, because they can be treated now. They absolutely can be treated. I'll just give you one example. We treated in your township a 102-year-old lady, 102 years old.
Oh my
She was
goodness.
living by herself. She had the stroke, and the truck went, and we scanned her, gave her the drug. If she had and she was 2 hours and 45 minutes into her stroke. Now, if we had waited the time, if she had to travel to an ER, she would have been beyond 3 hours and beyond the window where we could give her the medicine. But because this was there, we were able to give her the clot-busting drug within the window, and she walked out of the hospital, 102.
Doctor, the one part about this, I don't think a lot of people might understand or not understand, is that when you treat this with this drug, is the most important. That's what it sounds like to me, that if you get it on time and be treated with a drug, it's in a certain time. Is that how you stop this clot? Is that how you?
Yes, sir. And really, the first responders, Chief Topley and his crew, they're learned to examine the patients. We have what are called inclusion, exclusion criteria. So, for example, if you're on a blood thinner, you can't get the drug. If you have blood pressure that's really very high, you can't get the drug. And there are other things. But having said that, even if they don't get the drug, the MSU is able to take the patient to one of our sites, to a site where they can actually have what's called a mechanical thrombectomy with a catheter, where we go up and actually take the clot out of the brain, brain artery. So it also speeds up that treatment, because that type of treatment is also time sensitive as well. And so for every minute that we aren't unable to treat this, billions and billions of brain cells are dying. After 3 minutes, brain cells start dying. So that's why time is so critical, whether they're able to get the drug. And many of the people who get the drug also were able to take the clot out of the artery and restore blood flow. So the point being, the MSU really condenses down the time for what is the best treatment for that patient.
Wow. I'm going to have Tom say, Tom, you have a few words you want to say, and then we'll give the doctor the last word, but you go ahead.
Well, I think the most important thing is for people to know the signs and symptoms of stroke and call. And like you said, it's a terrible, terrible disease. It may not kill you, but it'll leave you paralyzed. And one of the things maybe the doc can talk about it is, I think they have an idea of how many minutes the stroke goes. If we can save time, it saves that many more days of rehab. And especially when the doctor was talking about the mechanical thrombectomies, Jefferson has so many resources. We can send helicopters to meet us to the hospital and things like that. We're actually saving those people probably hours. It's hard to document that because there's so many factors. But I just think this was a great opportunity from Jefferson. And, the township certainly, embraced it, and you've helped educate the community. And this is truly one of the redefining moments in EMS that I've seen in my career, probably the biggest thing since AEDs, public access AEDs. So it's just a great program, and I hope we can continue it far into the future.
Tom, I want to thank you for the great work you're doing here in our EMS Bensalem Rescue Squad. I mean that, we talk about it all the time. And just on a note, I know how difficult it's becoming financially for the EMS and Rescue Squad to do their job. So we'll always keep that in mind. And I want you to know I support that, whatever we have to do to keep our Rescue Squad number one and saving lives, which is more important than anything.
One thing I really kind of wanted to recognize the crew for, their last call of their year was during the tropical storm, and it was not a stroke. We were at 6 ambulances needed. We needed 6 ambulances. 6 ambulances only had 5, and the stroke truck stepped up and took the patient with respiratory distress to the hospital to help the community out. So it helps us that way too.
Yes. Thank you, Tom. And don't forget, we'll hopefully take care of the rescue squad like we do. That comes first here in Bensalem, taking care of people, and that's what we do the most. Doctor, you have the last word.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say a few words before I close in thanking you. But, I think everyone knows how big of a problem stroke is in the U.S. 750,000 strokes per year at an annual cost to society, to us, of $40 billion a year. $40 billion a year. And just think if we could reduce that, those monies could go for all the things that, that we all need, that society needs in general, healthcare and everything else. But I want to just, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank you, Chief Topley, and your crew, because like I said, this relationship is the secret sauce of how this program has been so successful. So thank you.
Well, Doctor, as always, I want to thank you because this wouldn't be going on without the cooperation with you and Jefferson. And it's a team that wins, and we certainly think we have a winning team in this one. I know that we've already saved lives. And there's hope for me at 102, so I'll remember that one, 102 years old. Anyway, Doctor, I really want to thank you and Jefferson and give my regards to everyone down there. And hope to see you again soon and give us another update as soon as possible. So thanks again, and God bless you.
Thank you. Be safe and be well.
Thank you, Doctor. Till next time, everybody. God bless.